Hey, how's it going, guys? This is James here again for Paint, Games, and Cardboard, and welcome to our second deck tech here on the channel. I am trying to record things a little differently. I actually picked up a new camera to make these deck techs and things better, so hopefully this ends up a lot better than the last one, which we did Yoshimaru and Kedis. So this time I would like to go over I'd say this is probably like my third favorite commander deck. So it's Illuna, Apex of Wishes. This is a Cascade, big dumb deck. That's probably the best way to put it. But it wins through spell slinging. So it's a really unique deck that I have a lot of fun playing. I play this quite often. And so yeah, this is the second deck tech that we're gonna do. So let's roll right on in.
Alright folks, so here we are at the second deck tech, trying my new camera out, so sorry, it is a little, I noticed it's a little bright, so I might have to skew the cards a little bit so that way you guys can read them. Sorry if you'd like to enjoy the art, but so this deck is 100% revolving around Illuna, Apex of Wishes. Primarily, you're gonna only want to cast this one, maybe two times in the entirety of the game. Sometimes you might not even cast it at all, depending on how you draw. But the main reason we have this as our commanders for her mutate ability, which is whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent, put that card on the battlefield or into your hand. So, which is a really, really powerful ability. Now, one thing to note, this is Cascade, where nothing goes to the bottom of your deck. So, there's only, nine targets. 9 targets in the entire deck that you can get out onto the field, or sorry, 10, I guess, technically. And yeah, so when you do this, generally speaking, it's going to mill about a quarter of your deck. So I've had it where I've milled half my deck before I hit a target. So we will go over the main game pieces for this deck now. So your main search engine is going to be Illuna, but you're going to have other ways of doing it. And so some of the pieces that you're going to try to find in this deck. Now the cool thing about this deck is that it's highly customizable. It's really any red, green, or blue creatures you want to put in here. I decided to go, well, I guess choose violence and pick like the dumbest creatures that I could think of to put into a deck like this. So we got Hullbreaker Horror, which will allow me to bounce everything off the field pretty much and keep me going. I really like Hullbreaker Horror because it just keeps me in the game, and I become a very big target very quickly. Coma Cosmos Serpent. So Coma, if you've never played it, at the beginning of your upkeep, make a 3/3 blue serpent creature token named Coma's Coil. You can sacrifice it to tap target permanent or make Coma indestructible. So usually when Coma hits the field, if he can last at least one round, yeah, you're in a really, really good position. This is also one of my win cons because it just gives me a lot of bodies to start swinging through. Usually I can get Illuna probably spun up as early as turn 3, depending on how I draw. So usually if you can get a Coma out by like turn 3, yeah, you become a very big problem very quickly. We got Old Gnawbone, you know, whenever a creature deals combat damage, make that many treasures. This is a very mana-intensive deck to do all of the spells that are in it. So Old Gnawbone is just a really good way to generate a lot of value. Especially because, again, usually when some of these things start coming out very early in the game, you become a target. So if I can get value off of them immediately, it's always a good thing. Omniscience. You may cast spells from your hand for free without paying their mana costs. So, yep. Yeah, usually if you hit this with the Luna, it's a bad day for your opponents. Tali Primal Conqueror. So when a Tali enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of the library until they hit a non-land card. So this plays exactly into what Illuna wants to do. If I can hit a Tali, that means I'm going to hit another one of these non-land cards. Well, one of these, or another spell in the deck. This is primarily a spell slinger deck. The rest of the deck is almost entirely spells. So. But Atali is also really good, and then if we can flip him, it's a win con in and of itself. We got Jin Katax's Core Augur. You know, controlling people's hand sizes and increasing how many cards we have is always a good thing, as you will see later on when I go through the rest of the cards. Nezahal, Primal Tide, because keeping our no maximum hand size is really good, and then also being able to draw more cards is always a positive. We do not have Rhystic Study, we do not have any of the traditional draw engines in here, so he is pretty much one of our 2 draw pieces. We got Jin Gitaxis, Progress Tyrant, so literally the rest of the deck is spells, so being able to copy spells is really, really, really good. And so that's why I threw Jin Gitaxis in here. It also helps in protecting our board against other people, because we want to stop them from board wiping us or taking control of some of our things, or whatever else they want to do. One with the Multiverse, so this is pretty much my way of getting a second Omniscience into the deck in some way, shape, or form, and then being able to cast the spells off the top of the library for free at least once is really good. And then we got a Consecrated Sphinx, because drawing additional cards is really good in this deck. So usually game plan is, well, I guess I'll show you ways that we're going to enact this game plan, because you might be thinking, well, like, what are we going to mutate on? You have no creatures that cost less than like 8 mana. So I will show you how we're going to go about doing that. And so this pile right here is all enablers in the deck. So the first one, Hard Evidence, we're going to make a crab creature token. So cool thing is Illuna can mutate onto these creature tokens and get you your value. So all of these are ways of getting value off of Illuna's mutate ability without losing anything out of the deck. So we got Hard Evidence to make crabs. Artifact Mutation, so we can destroy an artifact and then make a bunch of saplings. So this is really good. This is a very interactive deck, because usually speaking, you're not going to have anything on the field and you're just going to be responding to other people's threats until you can get set up. Alrund's Epiphany, so this is a way to get an extra turn later on in the game. So usually this is not an enabler. We're not casting this for the birds, we're casting it for the extra turn. But yeah, just extra turns and maybe birds if you need them. Call of the Scions, make 2 colorless Eldrazi Scion tokens. So extra mana, but also ways of getting Illuna to mutate. So this is a really good one too, because it's pretty much like I'm going to use one of these for a mana for Illuna, and then the other one's going to be the mutate target. Theoretical Duplication, whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, create a token that's a copy of that creature. So being able to make a copy of something that I really like is always good. Alright, so the next card is Verdant Command. So target player creates 2 tapped squirrels, which is really good for our ability. Don't really need to do the loyalty ability of Planeswalkers, sometimes maybe, but exiling target card from a graveyard is always good, and gaining 3 life, because sometimes we're getting hit in the face. So I really like that one. Lazotep Plating, literally the only reason I've ever cast this is to get the Amass one. But becoming hexproof is always a good thing. Awaken the Woods is really good in this deck, because it gives us a lot of bodies for ramp, and then also a lot of targets for mutating, which is really, really good. Growth Spasm, this is a fetch, so you go find a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, and then put a Eldrazi on the battlefield, so really like this one. Emergent Sequence, so this is a rampant growth that turns the land into a fractal creature. So you gotta kind of be careful with this, but I mean it's not a terrible card, and again it gives us another target for Illuna. I don't know why Search for Tomorrow's in this pile. I'm just going to move it off the side. Croaking Counterpart, so making a copy of target creature. And then Saruman's Trickery, so countering target spell. It gives us another piece of interaction. And then amassing some orcs. So these make a lot of tokens for us to go ahead and mutate onto. And also to cast this other pile of spells. So we have 4, I don't know what you call them, I guess. Pretty much Atali. They're Atali type triggers. So starting with Reality Scramble, put target permanent you own on the bottom of your library, reveal cards from the top until you reveal something that shares a card type. So that's why I said as early as turn 3 sometimes I can get this off, because if I can get one of my tokens out, so say like I cast Hard Evidence turn 1, turn 2 I cast a ramp spell, which will get me to 4 mana on turn 3, and I have Reality Scramble, I can automatically already go through my library and then get one of those giant targets out onto the field, which is really, really cool. And then you can also cast this from your graveyard by discarding a land. So gives us a repeatable way of doing more and more and more our Cascades. Divergent Transformation, so this is pretty much the same thing, but for 2 creatures, so pick 2 creatures and then do the same thing. This can kind of be a Chaos Warp too for your opponents, because they're usually not doing what you're doing, so which is really good. Chaos Mutation, so exile any number of target creatures controlled by different players, so pretty much, I guess, 1 per player. And then for each creature, you're going to do the same thing, reveal things off the top until you hit creatures. So another way of doing it. And it's instant too, so you can respond to targets and stuff. And then the only Planeswalker in the deck is Illuna Coppercoat Outcast, and he's literally here for the second ability, second Planeswalker ability, which is exile target creature you control, then reveal a card from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card with a higher converted mana cost. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest of the library. So, yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of different ways of going through the library and getting those creatures that I showed out. And the cool thing is, every set that comes out, I always kind of keep an eye out for anything that I can swap out one of these creatures with. So I'm always on the lookout of seeing like what big dumb things are coming from the new set. Now, I guess we'll go to our support pieces. So this is our support, and then these are all spells. So Search for Tomorrow, some ramp. We've got Kodama's Reach for some more ramp. We've got Treasure Cruise because we're going to have a whole entire graveyard full of stuff, so we might as well draw some cards. Solve the Equation because I'm always trying to look for instants or sorceries to respond to the board. So I have stuff like, Blasphemous Act in here that we haven't talked about, but sometimes you need a board wipe. So being able to find the pieces I need is always good. More ramp with Farseek, Entish Restoration, Kodama's Reach. Did I already? Holy crap, I have 2 Kodama's Reaches in here. I'm going to have to take that one out. I'll swap that for another ramp piece. Rampant Growth. And then Blasphemous Act, because I like having a board wipe. Mystical Tutor, because again, sometimes you want to find an instant or sorcery. So having multiple ways of finding these is always a good thing. Jessica's Will, because this will enable me to win usually through some of my other spells that I have in the deck. But yeah, Jessica's Will is always good in red decks. Expressive Iteration, so that way we can draw some cards. Expansion Explosion, so this right here is a way to kill someone with the doing damage and drawing cards. I've never gotten to actually use this though. Usually I'm killing people through combat damage, but hey, it's in there. We got Sky Shroud Claim, more ramp. Balagad Recovery to get back some of those creatures that are dying. And then we have Mizzix's Mastery, so that way I can cast my entire graveyard full of spells, because, a big chunk of this deck is spells, so just the ability to do that is really, really, really good. 3 Visits, more ramp. Eureka Moment, more ramp, but also draw. Celindy Vision, so that way we can find instants or sorceries to get, so again, seeing a theme here. Time Warp, so this is generally if I can get this in my hand and then I have something like, I don't know, Hullbreaker Horror on the field. Yeah, it's usually a bad time for my opponents, and I'm going to go ahead and just start bouncing the field and just try to take over the game by just keep casting Time Warp, by fetching it back out, bringing it back as many times as I can. So Frantic Search, so draw 2, discard 2, untap some lands, that's good. More ramp. I have Handle Blast because it's always good. Expropriate, so more extra turns. This deck is a little degenerate in that way, but also, we got an Omniscience, so might as well make use of it. And holy crap, do I have 2 Nature's Lures in here too? I do. What the hell happened? I might have to count how many cards are in this deck. I always build the deck in Moxfield, and then I build it in person, and then sometimes things get messed up, so I might be actually missing a couple cards. So we got Beast, so this right here is my interaction pile. A few of those pieces that I talked about earlier were interaction pieces as well. We got Beast Within, destroy some stuff. Pongify, destroy some stuff. Turnabout, so that way we can reset somebody's turn if they look like they might be swinging out or going for a win. Tail's End, so this is a really good one to respond to some of those annoying triggered abilities that a lot of people like to do, but also countering your legendary spell. Sometimes this comes in clutch when I'm going to counter a commander. Fact of Negation, because a free counterspell is never a bad idea. Also, I usually ramp out pretty heavily, so the paying the cost is not a big deal. Discontinuity, so that way I could stop somebody's turn in their tracks. Disallow, again, countering target ability. We got a old Force of Will and a Swan Song in here. Arcane Denial, counterspell. Runaway Together, because a double bounce is great for 2 mana. Perplexing Test. I really like this card because it allows me to bounce all non-token creatures to an owner's hands, which is really, really good if I have not established. So, like, if everybody else is kind of getting their fields established and getting kind of crazy, I can just, instant speed, bounce everything, and then go and try to do one of my Cascade things, which is really good. Same with Consuming Tide. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control and then return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Because again, I'm usually only going to have like 1 or 2 creatures on the field, so bouncing everybody's artifacts and stuff does not hurt me at all. And then, of course, a Cyclonic Rift is one of my proxy ones, which I really like. And then into the lands. So I'm just going to kind of highlight some important lands in here. There we go. Sokenzen. So Sokenzen's really key in this deck because, again, it gives us a way to make more tokens. So that way, like, if I always want to have a way to make tokens so that way I can either cast Illuna for her mutate or I can cast one of those spells that I showed you guys to go through my deck and get stuff out. So anything that makes tokens in this deck is always, like, it's always something to look out for, and as people play the deck and they're like, okay, and then they're looking out for what I'm doing. But it's always funny when somebody like Path of Exiles a 1/1 token because they want to stop me from mutating. And then, let's see, Otawara, always a good one to have. And then I think there's only like one other land in here that's just kind of weird. Oh, a couple more. Colony Garden, because this just makes a plant token for coming on the battlefield. So this is always a really, really good turn 1 play. Hey, I'll play this, get my token and carry on. And then Keep. So Keep actually saved my my ass the other day. I had a great opening hand, and I had a really good opening hand for responding to other people, but I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll draw into something. And Keep was in my hand and ended up, playing this out turn 3 and making a Kobold token. And then turn 4, I was able to, after ramping and some other things, to be able to use Illuna. But I had drawn no other ways of making tokens. So Keep was like my way of doing Illuna things, which was really, really funny. And so then I saw the value of keeping this in the deck. So just being able to make those tokens to enable you to do your mutate plays is always a good thing. And that is the deck. So let's go to the outro.
So I hope you guys really like the second deck tech. I really love this deck. Sucks that there was a couple extra cards in the deck. Something that, sometimes you don't realize. You don't realize you already put the card in the deck and then you end up with more than one. I don't think it's really affected any of the games so far. It tends to not ramp out like I would expect it to. But, it's a really fun deck. It's really fun. It can be terrifying to play against sometimes. This is what I would say is like a high 7, a low 8. If people are not prepared for it, it can definitely take people like back. And then it's always kind of like it's like gambling. Like it's like a slot machine. Like, because you never know what creature is going to pop up. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I really hope I get Hullbreaker Horror. Or sometimes you're like, oh man, I really hope I get Jin Kataxis. Or oh, I hope this time's it's Tatali. And then you end up getting, I don't know, what was it the other day? I think I ended up getting, for my first creature, Nezahal, and then I did it again, and then I got Consecrated Sphinx. So I was like, I'm just going to draw a lot of cards. I have no mana or anything to really do with this. Granted, who's going to complain about that combination? But the good thing was I was able to keep Nezahal around because people would try to take care of it, and I would just have all the cards to keep discarding. But it kind of feeds into itself, right? Because then you can cast Mystic's Mastery later in the game, get all of the spells out of your graveyard. The one thing that I have found is generally this wins through extra turns and combat. So, like, just keep taking turns and keep hitting people in the head. And I can generate a lot of value, like tons of treasures and stuff. But usually I don't like have a lot of things to do with that, you know. Usually I'm just kind of standing around waiting for other people to do stuff and then counter their things or stop them from doing their game plan, just waiting for me to cast a Luna or get other things. So it is a little diddly in that way. So if that's not like your play style, maybe this isn't your type of deck. But now that I know I have 2 free slots in this, I might actually go see if there's any other creatures I want to add to it. But it is super fun. It is a super fun deck. I love playing this deck. It brings me a lot of joy because I like big stompy creatures, and green is my favorite color. So this does green things in a way, but just in a different sort of way. Now that I'm thinking of green, there's got to be a green creature that I don't have in here that I would love to have. But anyways, yeah, so thank you guys for checking out the second deck tech for Luna Apex of Wishes. I really want to get the Ghidorah, the Ghidorah, the Godzilla version artwork for the commander. I think that would be a lot of fun, but you know, I gotta find one that's not like $50 because spending $50 for technically a $1 card does not fill the soul with happiness, right? So, but anyways, I hope you guys will check us out here again on Paint Games and Cardboard. You know, next video probably gonna do a board game review. So I just wanted to get out a couple quick videos, testing out some things, testing out my new camera setup, which seemed to work a little better for this video than the last one, and then trying my phone sideways. So if you guys notice, and it's annoying me too, I'm looking off to the side because I'm looking at my phone, but the camera is that way, like the thing. So if I look that way, I'm staring straight into it, but then I'm not looking at the, yeah, it's super annoying. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video here. Bye.